MMORPGs in general can be an experience unlike any other, creating a sense of community that can be almost impossible to cultivate in other genres. Final Fantasy XI was no exception, but that social environment and general speed of play has in one very significant way ruined other games for me. So hey guys, it's Hunt4Games, bringing you a healthy mix of videos on new releases in MMOs, and nostalgia trips to the classics that made us fall in love with games in the first place. And with this nostalgic trip, I'm going to quick touch on something I've been afflicted with for many years. It's not a sense of camaraderie that I've lost in more recent games, which is true, or a lack of genuine relationships formed over shared hardships and common interests, also kind of true. No, this is a silly, stupid fact that Final Fantasy XI broke how I play video games, and I've never fully recovered. I tried scripting this video up a bunch of times, going into all the different details about how I used to play video games, and I would hop on after school and all my friends would be on, and I'd have a way to communicate with friends that I normally didn't see very often, and then we'd go on these amazing adventures or leveling experiences, or we'd meet other friends, or sometimes people we didn't like so much. And I scripted it a bunch of times and never fully seemed to be able to capture one stupid, simple little problem. I miss sitting playing video games and watching television. I would watch every show I'd ever wanted to see. I'd watch movies. I would do homework. I would play other consoles. I did all these things while playing Final Fantasy XI. Final Fantasy XI was in many ways an extension of my life. It was this other world that I lived in every day. I mean, even if I wasn't really playing the game, and it's why my playtime count is at like 500 days. That may sound absurd, but you have to understand that I was logged into this game more than I was logged into AIM back at that peak of AIM, AOL Instant Messenger, the pinnacle of human communication. No, I was just always on, whether I'd be sitting there checking the auction house, just chatting with people, maybe farming a notorious monster, which was one of my favorite pastimes, because if it wasn't too popular or crowded, you could kind of do it without paying attention. At the very least, there could be 10 to 15 minutes between windows of things repopping where you didn't really have to pay, too close attention. I could be watching a movie or doing something else. I read books sometimes. I read books while playing Final Fantasy XI, but we've gotten a little off topic. Why is this such a big deal? I loved it. I loved it so much. There was never a movie I didn't watch that I wanted to see, because even if it was a 3-hour movie and I had a ton going on, I could also make some progress in Final Fantasy XI simultaneously without really paying too much attention. So I'd get the full cinematic movie experience, and I'd also get like 2 levels on a 30th Dragoon. Like, it didn't matter. Now, games have been designed to like constantly, keep you engaged and keep you entertained, which in itself isn't a bad thing, but it makes it really hard for me to do other things while playing them. Like, I would really love in Final Fantasy XIV for there to be something that I could just kind of grind on while I'm actually watching, the latest episodes of, I don't know, what are we watching these days? I've been watching a rerun of Cowboy Bebop. That's been fun. My point is though, and I do that, I really do, but it isn't the same. Final Fantasy XIV, you have to very closely pay attention in certain scenarios to ground indicators on what you're about to get hit with, and carefully maintain your rotations. And if you're a healer or tank, you should be paying even more attention. It doesn't really offer me the opportunity to just kind of zone out and enjoy Justice League while getting a few levels or farming, a million beehive chips. And I realized a while back that I've been chasing that experience for years, and it's really hard to find because there are very few games that are slow enough to allow you to only kind of casually pay attention. Now, Final Fantasy XI by design was set up in such a way that you should be able to communicate by keyboard in between battles, in between fights, and we did a whole video on that I'll try to remember to link in the description below. But that speed allowed you to also, if you weren't communicating with the party or if you're by yourself, just do anything else. Some would say that this was a flawed design, that it was so slow and so lacking in necessary visual input, you didn't have to pay attention, that was a bad thing, that it was boring. And I get that. I can totally understand, and there were certainly days where I'm like, I'm bored playing my favorite game, and you should never feel that way. When I hear about games like Pantheon Rise of the Fallen on the horizon or WoW Classic, I can't help but hope a little bit that this one missing thing will come back to me, that I can, once again, log on, engage in a video game while having stuff on in the background and really balance between the two. Games are so fast paced these days, I feel sort of silly sometimes, and games like Final Fantasy 14 will offer so many story elements and cutscenes and dialogue that I want to read. It's so good, but it's all the time. Final Fantasy 11, even if you're working all night on a quest, that might only be 4 actual chat interactions or 1 cutscene. You're not going to miss too much over the course of the entire evening. Final Fantasy 14, if you're questing, you've got dialogue every 2 seconds, which is great, and I love that, and it makes Final Fantasy 14 engaging all of the time. But every once in a while I want a game that's not engaging all the time, but I'm still making progress. A game that I really thought was going to be the winner here was actually Elite Dangerous. I used to play that all the time, but at the same time, that is a little bit too low for me on the scale. There's a lot of empty time and space. It just, that personally wasn't for me, but it was on the right track. I know this one was kind of rambling. I really had tried so many times to put into words why this was so important to me. And honestly, I think the reason I struggled is because I think this is a problem unique to me. I think a lot of people are listening to this saying, what the hell's wrong with you? If you want to play a game, play a game. And if you want to have something on in the background, do that. I know a lot of people will put stuff on in the background playing things like Rainbow Six Siege or Halo. But for those kind of games, I always need to kind of pay attention, and I can't enjoy what's on in the background unless it's something I've already seen before. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Have games improved because now they're so engaging and so forceful in their impact and what you do from a moment-to-moment basis that you don't need to fill your time and your brain space with like extra stuff like books or other games or movies? Or has something been lost in the concept that I could play Final Fantasy XI while grinding on Pokemon Yellow? Why'd I pick that one? That's a weird choice, but I did used to do that. I'd play Pokemon Yellow alongside Final Fantasy XI at the same time waiting for parties. Or have I just not found a game in a while that I feel is engaging enough to keep me invested 100% of the time? Certainly on the more cynical side of things, there were definitely plenty of times in Final Fantasy XI where I'd be sitting there waiting for a party with literally nothing to do. So I had to fill that time with something else like a movie or another video game. And is that good? Probably not. So sound off with your thoughts. Am I crazy? Am I just having some of those like weird nostalgic rose-colored glasses? And is there any hope for me? Can I fix this? Or am I just screwed forever? Can't wait to hear your thoughts. Let me know. Everybody have an amazing holiday. I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in more videos like this, think about subscribing. And if you already have, don't forget to click that little bell next to the sub button to get notified when new videos go live. Hit me up in the comments with your thoughts on this video, or come hang out and chat with me on Twitch every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And definitely look me up on Twitter or Instagram and Hunt for Games to keep up with what else I've got going on. See ya.